negotiate.
Yes. So the two presidents have entered the hall. This is where the youth forum is taking place. Let's now cross over into the University of Nairobi and take a listen as Presidents William Ruto and Emmanuel Macron participate in the youth forum.
That you have in the society is very important, and it does match with what you do.
That is exactly it. So for us as Brain Africa, of course, our vision is to be a recognized leader.
Let us kindly take our seats. Your Excellencies, for a moment there with the national anthems, it sounded like we were in a concert, hence the claps. Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of Kenya. Your Excellency, President Emmanuel Macron. This morning, allow me to start off the program with inviting Professor Patrick to do a very brief welcome to the university before we start our panel discussions. Professor Patrick, kindly if you can come and just do the quick welcoming remarks. Let's welcome him with a clap, please. Professor, welcome.
Youthquake. For the young people in the audience, three things. One, did you know every single month across Africa, 1 million young people like yourself come to the labor market? Youthquake. Number two, did you know that only 1 of 4 of those 1 million people coming to the labor market finds a formal job? Youthquake. Number 3, did you know there are 2 global leaders this morning inaugurated the first ever science and engineering complex, combining you with industry, with research, to create what? 3 things. Jobs, jobs, jobs. And it is these 2 leaders, President Ruto, you're one of us from the University of Nairobi. Thank you so much for your leadership in driving this agenda. And it is you, President Emmanuel Macron, may I say boldly, the strongest friend of Africa. Why? By putting your money where your mouth is and delivering this science complex. Thank you so much of coming to the University of Nairobi. This initiative, finally, is not just for Nairobi. It's not even just for Kenya. It's the prototype for Africa. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you so much.
What a great way to start. Another round of applause for Professor Patrick. Your Excellencies, at this point, allow me to now hand over this particular session to Mariam Bishar. Mariam is a media personality and journalist who connects with Kenya's young audience and has experience moderating. A clap for her, please, as she comes now to take over the session. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you. It is my honor to welcome you, Rais William Samoei Ruto, His Excellency Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, and President de la République Française, Emmanuel Macron. It is my honor to welcome all of you to the Africa Forward Summit 2026, being held for the very first time in a non-Francophone country. Please give yourselves a round of applause. This is an immersive gathering of 30 plus heads of state, 1,500 plus business leaders from across the globe. But most importantly, it is also a gathering of the people that make up more than 70% of this magnifique continent we call home, young people. So over the next few days, we are going to learn, interact, network, to basically get a feel of the African continent and how it relates to France, how it relates to the world, how it relates to the West. We are breaking barriers. I hear people say that the world is no longer facing east or west, it is facing south. And I think it's time that we take our place and we act as such, right? Yes. The theme this year is Future Makers. And I like the idea of future makers. I also like to think that the future is quite possibly in the present. How many people have been told you are the leaders of the future? Ever? Show of hands. Yeah. Has the future come? Yes? Yes? The future is here, right? I think the future is now, and we are future makers. It is our work to make sure that this continent and that the world interact as one. So over the next few days, I'm hoping you make a friend, you make a business partner, you network with people, you perhaps even find someone to write letters to. I don't know, if we can go back to the olden days. But it is my sincere hope that you have a good time at this summit, and we will have incredibly great conversations over the next hour, especially with President Ruto and President Macron. We'll be discussing AI and innovation, and we'll get to hear from President Ruto, his insights, his expertise, his thoughts on how we can basically use AI for innovation and to make sure that we are not just, like I said, the cog in the wheel that's making AI run in the world, but not gaining anything from it. And from President Macron, he'll be on a panel discussing how we can make sure that African voices are platformed on global stages. Just before the presidents came in, I spoke of the danger of a single story, and a lot of you agreed. You've heard or seen the lecture by Chimamanda Adichie. That means that we cannot be the people who are being written about without owning the narratives, and that even as we have partners across the world, that they are part of our story, that we are collaborating as one. Am I right? Yes. All right. We'll get right into our program for the day. I will invite our first moderator. Her name is Sophia Ida. She is a journalist, a TV presenter. She's also a comms expert, and she will be walking us through. Welcome, Sophia. She will be walking us through this panel on AI and innovation. Welcome, Sophia.
Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished guests, innovators, founders, and especially the young people shaping the future of Africa. Are there some young people in the room today? Are there some young leaders in the room today? Are you a future maker? If you're a future maker, make some noise for yourself, please. This is our session. This is our time. This is our discussion. My name is Sophia Ida, international host, entrepreneur, and founder of Chic Network, which is a platform dedicated to amplifying African and diaspora voices, creativity, and innovation. So it's truly my honor to lead this conversation, talking about a subject that is deeply, deeply important for the future of our continent and the next generation. 2050, 1 person out of every 4 on Earth will be African. So the question is no longer whether Africa will participate in this technological revolution. The real question is, will Africa help build it? Artificial intelligence is expected to contribute trillions to the global economy in the next decades, while Africa's digital economy will reach nearly $700 billion by 2050. But beyond the numbers, this conversation is about something a lot more human, deeply human. It's about jobs. It's about opportunities, dignity, and sovereignty. Because for the first time in history, with just the help of a laptop, a young person in Nairobi, in Abidjan, in Johannesburg, in Douala, can train AI models in local languages, create solutions for Africa, by Africans with African technologies, can create solutions globally as well from here. This is a first, and we must pay attention to this revolution. So it's safe to say that the future of innovation is not only taking place in Silicon Valley. The future of innovation is taking place right here in Africa, in African cities, African universities, African startups, and by African youth. But this future will require courage. Courage to invest in infrastructure. Courage to trust the young entrepreneurs. Courage for us to no longer consume technology, but becoming builders, owners, and architects of it. And today we're joined by two leaders already helping shape that future. Our first speaker is one of the leading African voices in artificial intelligence today. She's not only building technology, she's helping redefine who shapes the future of AI. Through Amini, she's building sovereign AI infrastructure for Africa and the global south, enabling countries to create value from their own data, talent, and innovation. From Ndivya to Intel to ARM, her career has been dedicated to expanding access to frontier technologies and now to position Africa at the center of AI conversations. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage the founder and CEO of Amini, Ms. Kate Kalot. We can keep clapping for her until she takes a seat, please. Thank you so much. Our second speaker represents a new generation of builders connecting Africa through technology and entrepreneurship. As co-founder of Julaya and president of French Tech Abidjan, he's helping build the financial infrastructure powering African businesses across borders. Based in Abidjan and active across West Africa, he believes that Africa's next generation of jobs and economic champions will come from Africans building solutions for African realities. Please put your hands together for Mathias Leopoldi, co-founder of Julaya, president of French Tech Abidjan, and apparently he's a young leader de la French African Foundation. Make some noise for him. All right. Now, my first question is for you, Kate. As one of Time's 100 most influential people in AI, what gives you optimism about Africa's positioning in this digital transformation that we're talking about? And what must we do now to become builders of AI instead of consumers of it?
Thank you for the question, which I think it's probably the most consequential question Africa is facing today in the age of AI. Builders or consumers? But for me, this question is deeply personal because I am African. My parents are from the Central African Republic, but I am also French. I was born and raised in Paris. And I spent the past 15 years rising to the top of the big US corporations in AI. But I saw something that was missing. I saw the missing infrastructure for our own builders. So 4 years ago, I decided to come home. And since then, home has been Nairobi. And I'm not alone. There are generations of builders from Microsoft, from Google, from the world's top universities, including Polytechnique, who are coming back to the continent. We are not coming back because we failed there. We're coming back because we saw what was missing here, and we want to fix it. So us, alongside the homegrown builders, the millions of local innovators, we are the new face of Africa. We are young, we're connected, and we are deeply rooted. And we want to change the story of our continent. I often get asked why I left NVIDIA at the top of the AI revolution. And for me, the answer is in the statistics. Africa holds 19% of the world's population, but less than 1% of the global compute capacity. What the stat really means is that builders across many African countries, across Kampala, across Nairobi, across Bangui, are stuck at the bottom of the AI value chain. They are paid to label data and not empowered to build, forced to use and consume systems that were not designed or built by them or for them. But on the flip side, I see an opportunity to rewrite the future for ourselves. And that's why I decided to move to Kenya and found Amini 4 years ago. We transform local data into intelligence that the continent can act upon. We deploy local infrastructure that our governments can own, build, and operate locally. And today, we are very proud to announce a partnership with Foxconn and Bull to close the sovereign compute gap in Africa. We will deploy compute that is modular, that is energy efficient, and that is affordable, so that finally we can own and operate our own infrastructure. So our small company that was born out of Nairobi is now solving problems at a global scale. We've now expanded into Bridgetown, into Rio, into Manila, across the global south, because the opportunity is planetary. So you asked me what I am optimistic about. And I think I'm optimistic about our people, the generations who are coming back, who have not just studied the AI revolution, but have built it, have been inside the systems which are reshaping the world today. And the generations which have never left. I've been here, and for the past couple of years, I've learned how to master those systems. And those two give me optimism. France and Africa have something that neither of them can build alone or replicate alone. Deep talent, a tradition for strategic autonomy, and the refusal to accept that the future only belongs to those who already hold it. And for me, I hope that this is the new generation of the France-Africa relationship. I want to refuse that our builders, our future makers, have to choose between living to build or staying to build. Building from home has to be the best option for us. Imagine coupling French scientific excellence with African ingenuity. Builders in Nairobi, in Paris, building on the same infrastructure. This is us writing our own AI economy, not negotiating to be part of someone else. So Your Excellencies, as today, the decisions that you will make today and how we collaborate in the next 10 years will define what sovereignty means for centuries. Thank you. Merci. Asante sana.
Thank you so much, Kate. Thank you so much. The next question is for you, Matthias. Nowadays, an Ivorian SME paying Kenyan suppliers still routes through London or New York and pays 2 or 3 times more for the privilege. You're building the layer that changes that, right? What would it mean in real jobs and real businesses if that infrastructure existed at scale within 5 years?
Thanks, Sophie. Your Excellency, President William Ruto, Monsieur le Président de la République Emmanuel Macron, and distinguished and honored guests without protocol. Like Kate, I'm French. I'm a French entrepreneur. I have been working in West Africa for the past 10 years, based between Abidjan, Dakar, Cotonou, Lomé. And I founded an online bank to try to tackle this issue called Julaya. We often hear Africa is lagging. Africa needs to catch up, like all these narratives. But there are industries where Africa is actually leading and is actually a leader in the world. And one of those industries I want to talk about today is called mobile money and was born here in Kenya around 25 years ago. Today, mobile money empowers 1.2 billion people in Africa out of 1.6 billion people to access financial inclusion, send money, pay bills, etc. But there's a but. This revolution is not fully complete. Today, as you said, if you're a Kenyan SME, for example, you want to pay a Senegalese supplier, it takes a correspondent bank and the dollar to do it. It is not a problem of will, it is not a problem of talent, it is a problem of critical infrastructure. And this is being solved. There is a new institution called PAPS, Pan-African Payment Settlement System, which is sponsored by President Ruto, and which envisions to allow the 42 African currencies to transact with each other without for the dollars, etc. What we envision today as youth is to be part of this revolution. And all the young leaders in this panel and in the room, we want to be part of the economic growth that will involve and that will follow this revolution. So I want to say, like, with the backing of the right banks like Proparco, BPI France, the African Development Bank, and also with the backing of the right support organization, ecosystem organization, we can make this revolution happen. And I am one of those examples. I've benefited from this funding, I've benefited from this support, and I want to tell, and with the approval from the presidents, that this is what awaits the youth today, and this is what we need to seize today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matthias. Now, Excellency Mr. President Ruto, Africa's greatest resource is not buried underground. As you can see, is the talent, is the creativity and the ambition of young people. We've spoken today about artificial intelligence, digital infrastructure, entrepreneurship, and financial innovation. But for millions of young Africans listening, the question is ultimately very simple. Will this technological revolution create opportunities they can actually access? So my final question to you is, what must African governments do differently, starting now, to ensure that the next generation of African innovators, engineers, creators, and entrepreneurs are able to fulfill their full potential, allowing them to build globally competitive companies and careers right here in Africa?
Thank you very much. And congratulations, Kate, and my good friend, Matthias. Listening to you is, breath of fresh air. I mean, I could relate with everything that you said. But let me say this. For us to be able to be future ready, and I'm happy to know this morning, I am among the people who have been saying I'm neither facing west or east, I'm facing forward. But now you're telling me forward is south. So I will improve. I will now know what to say. Now, two things. One, infrastructure. And two, knowledge. Let me start with the first one. There is every reason why we should have the right knowledge acquisition. We need to fine-tune the whole ecosystem around education. In Kenya, we have had to review the education system and to make it competence-based. There was a time we were teaching and the education was about academics and what you can cram and what you can regurgitate and what you can do. Today, we are changing that to be much more experiential, so that we get more skills, we get more competencies, and that is why 60% of our education is now targeted to STEM subjects that will inform what these two great young leaders are talking about. We have had to invest more in education, making sure that they have the right education, they have the right skills, they have the right competencies so that they can participate meaningfully. Number two is infrastructure, digital infrastructure, making sure that we have fiber optic across our countries, making sure that it is accessible, creating spaces where entrepreneurs, creatives, young people can undertake their assignments, their aspirations, and drive what these two good people have been saying. In Kenya, apart from reforming the education system, putting more money in and realigning education so that it speaks to the requirements of the now, we are also investing in digital infrastructure, fiber optic. They've just said we are manufacturing now here in Kenya a lot of digital assets. whether it is phones, whether it is computers, and all that digital infrastructure. We are laying fiber optic to 30,000 kilometers already in Kenya to make sure that every part of Kenya is in the loop. And then finally, the Ministry of ICT, and I have my minister here, is now working on how to bring the rest of the world into Kenya to experience. And I'm going to ask Kate why she chose Kenya. I would really want to know why, out of all the other countries, there must be something in Kenya that gave her, there must be something. And it must be among the things I'm talking about. So making sure that some of the best companies across the world come to participate with us. Last year, Teleperformance, the largest BPO company in the world, set up office in Kenya. We have many BPO companies set up in Kenya. Why? Because we have young people with the right skills, we have the right infrastructure in terms of internet connectivity, and we have a very enterprising and entrepreneurial population. So in my opinion, this is the space in which we are operating, and I think every other country should be able to think in that direction, because the future is about technology, the future is digital, and AI is going to be at the center of it.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
Please, will you favor me with Kate? Will you favor me?
We picked Kenya because of the ecosystem, like you mentioned. The ecosystem is vibrant and it's here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Your Excellency, for your remarks. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Matthias. We are closing this first panel. Thank you, everyone. And Mariam, I give you the mic to follow this day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, and Matthias, Kate as well, and Sophia for a wonderful job moderating. The fact that Kate left in video, which makes more money on a yearly basis than a lot of nations, to come and invest back home says something that if we don't believe it ourselves, no one else will believe it, right? We have to set the precedent. And I think that's amazing. Also, what we're doing with the competency-based curriculum, as the president has said, is preparing ourselves for now and for the future. And I love that we're able to have these discussions in a room where the whole continent is represented. There we go. Speaking of representation, okay, I think we're back. Thank you, President Macron. Speaking of representation for the continent, the fact that we get to tell our own stories is also incredibly important. How we platform ourselves across the world, how we are listened to, how we are viewed, how we are perceived, that's what we're talking about in this next panel. And we will have the moderator being Aisha Toure, who is the CEO of Orange Sierra Leone. Please give Aisha a big round of applause. Let's go. And of course, His Excellency President Macron will be on her panel as well. Let me hand over to you, Aisha.
Sorry. Do you have the mic ready?
Merci, Mariam. Leurs Excellences, Monsieur Emmanuel Macron, Président de la République française, Monsieur William Ruto, Président de la République du Kenya, merci de nous offrir ce moment. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Je m'appelle Aisha Touré, directrice générale d'Orange Sierra Leone. Je suis évolué entre la France, le Royaume-Uni, les États-Unis et maintenant la Sierra Leone. Je sais ce que signifie naviguer entre plusieurs cultures et apprendre à en faire une force. Je suis également fière de faire partie d'un groupe qui connecte aujourd'hui plus de 160 millions d'Africains à des services numériques et financiers essentiels et qui a déjà formé plus d'1,5 million de jeunes Africains à des métiers du numérique gratuitement via les Orange Digital Center. Pendant longtemps, l'Afrique a été racontée par d'autres. Aujourd'hui, des voix africaines s'imposent à travers la culture, l'entrepreneuriat, les médias, la technologie. Le narratif devient... Au fond, l'influence d'un continent ne se mesure pas uniquement à son poids économique ou politique, mais aussi à sa capacité à produire des récits, des imaginaires, des marques, de la culture et de la confiance. On peut parler de la diplomatie culturelle française, M-Pesa pour le Kenya. Alors, comment l'Afrique transforme-t-elle aujourd'hui cette nouvelle visibilité en capacité d'influence? Jean-François et Wilfried ont des réponses concrètes. Je les invite à nous rejoindre. Jean-Wilfried Kemajou travaille depuis plusieurs années au rayonnement du continent africain à l'international. Il est notamment l'un des principaux architectes de la marque Bénin, un monde de splendeur. Qui a fait de l'image du Bénin un vrai levier d'attractivité et d'influence. Marois, entrepreneur, créatrice de contenu et animatrice télé, incarne à travers son parcours entre l'Algérie et la France une Afrique qui construit aujourd'hui des marques, des entreprises et une influence culturelle entre plusieurs mondes. Jean-Wilfried, commençons par toi. L'Afrique a souvent été enfermée dans des récits réducteurs et incomplets. Comment peut-elle sortir de ces stéréotypes et construire un récit plus juste, plus ambitieux et plus fidèle à ses réalités contemporaines?
Merci Aïcha pour la question. Tout d'abord, permets-moi de remercier son Excellence, Monsieur le Président William Ruto, ainsi que son Excellence, Monsieur le Président Emmanuel Macron, de nous accueillir aujourd'hui et de nous donner l'opportunité d'aborder un sujet aussi important. Avant d'entamer mon propos, j'aimerais vous partager un montant, 4,2 milliards de dollars. 4,2 milliards de dollars, c'est ce que perd l'Afrique chaque année en raison des stéréotypes négatifs relayés par des médias internationaux. Alors, ce montant révélé par une étude de l'ONG Africa No Filter nous démontre une chose, c'est que l'image de l'Afrique n'est plus une question de symbole. Il y a des impacts économiques concrets pour nos pays. Et donc, nous devons prendre acte de cela. Alors, soyons clairs, en Afrique, il n'y a pas de nation branding sans nation building. Nous devons bien évidemment, à côté de cette attractivité que nous devons construire, développer des secteurs essentiels à nos économies, que ce soit l'éducation, la santé, les infrastructures qui contribuent au développement de nos pays. Mais il y a une problématique aujourd'hui, c'est que beaucoup de pays africains se transforment et ne racontent pas le récit de cette transformation. Et ce qui se passe, c'est que ce récit est raconté par d'autres. Et quand ce sont d'autres qui racontent nos histoires, ce qui se passe, c'est que nous subissons des stéréotypes négatifs. Et donc, nous subissons une image dévalorisante de notre continent. Et ça, il faut le dire, les grandes puissances internationales ont su le comprendre très tôt. Et je veux prendre l'exemple de la France, qui, depuis Louis XIV et Versailles, rayonne au sein du monde. On peut prendre les États-Unis avec Hollywood, qui a su façonner nos imaginaires collectifs, ou plus récemment avec la vague Hallyu sud-coréenne, qui, je dirais, nous a, dans la salle, fait de nous des fans de la série à succès Squid Game sur Netflix. Et donc, cela démontre une chose, c'est que il y a une politique volontariste des grandes puissances sur les questions de soft power. Ce n'est pas un détail, l'image n'est pas un détail, c'est volontaire, c'est pensé, c'est acté. Il y a des investissements concrets qui permettent à ces puissances de rayonner sur la scène internationale. En Afrique, depuis de nombreuses années, encore, quand on parle du continent, on parle d'un continent empreint de guerre, d'épidémies, de maladies, empreint de pauvreté. Et je pense qu'il y a une logique sémantique que je pense que nous devons inverser, c'est celui de sortir de ce récit, de lutter contre la pauvreté pour assumer notre volonté de devenir des puissances. Parce que je pense que les pays africains... Je pense que les pays africains aujourd'hui doivent aspirer à devenir des puissances culturelles, des puissances technologiques, des puissances économiques. Et que ce récit a déjà commencé. L'Afrique n'est pas le continent du futur, mais bien du présent. Et donc moi, j'aimerais aussi vous partager une expérience personnelle, parce que le Bénin, depuis plusieurs années, est dans cette transformation. Et au Bénin, berceau du vaudou, le pays a voulu justement sortir de ces stéréotypes négatifs. Parce que quand on parle du vaudou, et je sais déjà dans la salle qu'on se dit « oulala, la magie noire, la sorcellerie, qu'est-ce qui se passe ?» Eh bien, ça, c'est le résultat de ces années, de ces décennies, de ce siècle justement de stéréotypes négatifs. Le vaudou, ce n'est pas cela. Le vaudou, c'est notre spiritualité, c'est ce que nous sommes au plus profond de nous-mêmes. Et donc, sous la supervision de son Excellence le Président de la République, Patrice Talon, il a fait le choix assumé, avec fierté, de revendiquer justement ce patrimoine inestimable. Et je veux ici donner un exemple concret, celui des Vaudou Days, qui est aujourd'hui devenu le plus grand rassemblement autour des arts, de la culture et de la spiritualité vaudou autour du monde. La première édition, il y a 3 ans, nous avons eu 97 000 participants. Il y a quelques mois, en janvier, nous avons eu 700 000 participants en 3 jours à Ouida. Cela démontre une chose, c'est que quand un pays assume son patrimoine, décide de maîtriser son récit, eh bien ça marche. Ça marche économiquement, ça marche touristiquement, et ça marche aussi dans la réappropriation de cette fierté en tant qu'Africains. Aujourd'hui, les Béninois le diront, ils sont fiers d'être Béninois et de revendiquer cela. Et donc, je dirais, cet exemple qui est très parlant me permet de répondre à ta question, Aïcha, autour de la solution. Eh bien, en présence justement des chefs d'État et bien évidemment du public ici présent, j'aimerais partager une proposition très concrète que j'ai eu la chance de proposer dans une tribune il y a quelques années. C'est celui de créer la marque Afrique. Je pense que le moment est venu pour nous d'avoir une marque Afrique, parce que je pense que sur cette terre, aucun continent n'a besoin de travailler son attractivité d'une manière aussi intense que le continent africain. Cette marque, selon moi, doit suivre l'agenda 2063 de l'Union africaine, qui est déjà très clair, autour justement des axes de développement du continent. Et cette marque également doit pouvoir associer institutions financières, États, société civile, autour d'une entité qui nous permettra enfin de reprendre la main sur notre narratif et bien sûr de valoriser notre continent sur la scène internationale. Je vous remercie.
Merci Jean-Wilfried. Marois, des millions de jeunes femmes te suivent aujourd'hui à travers les réseaux sociaux parce qu'elles se reconnaissent dans ton parcours. Toi qui vis entre 2 continents, 2 cultures, quel rôle la diaspora peut-elle jouer pour changer le regard sur l'Afrique? Et à travers ton parcours, comment as-tu ressenti ce besoin de contribuer au développement économique de ton pays d'origine?
Merci beaucoup Aïcha pour cette question. Avant ça, permets-moi de remercier l'organisation pour l'invitation. L'Assemblée
for the invitation, and clearly to their excellencies. Thank you for being at the source of this initiative. It's very humbling to be here next with you. This event is very important symbolically as a young Algerian woman. To be able to represent young people from the North African diaspora is a true honor. I apologize, I'm very nervous. Thank you. So I'll tell you about my path. I was born in Algeria. I stayed there until I was 5 years old. And then I moved to France. So we have some fans of Algeria in the room. So as I was saying, I continued my trajectory in France, and I struggled with my identity for some time. I considered it as a disability, and now I see it as my strength. And I think it's important for our diaspora to understand 2 realities. What are international ambitions and what are the possibilities on the African continent? Throughout my education, I went to an engineering school, which was extremely demanding and very tiring. But it was my release. I needed a release, and my release was social media. And on social media, I was able to talk about my culture, my two cultures, and I was able to speak to those who are like me and who look like me, and to represent them. And this has enabled me to pursue incredible opportunities to work with international leaders in retail and
Malgré toutes ces opportunités, j'ai toujours ressenti un vide et une volonté très très forte de devenir une valeur ajoutée pour mon pays natal, l'Algérie. Et c'est pour ça que depuis 3 ans, avec mon mari, nous développons plusieurs business sur plein de secteurs différents, la restauration, l'immobilier et notamment l'industrie, avec l'ouverture de notre usine de produits de cosmétiques Made in Algeria et aussi avec la création de notre marque, la première marque premium de maquillage en Algérie. Et avec ce projet, j'avais vraiment l'ambition et la volonté de me dire que le Made in Algeria, le Made in Africa,
was to make something in Algeria, in Africa. And we want to rival international competitors, and it's important not to establish oneself on the international scene. My intention, along with my husband, was to contribute to the local economy, to create, to invest, to create jobs, and to provide an economic added value and to export to the EU. And that is our role as part of the African diaspora. That is to say, we're here to build bridges, economic bridges, cultural bridges, human bridges. And to answer your question, Aisha, our generation, in my opinion, have an essential role to play. Future, to change the perception of Africa, to show Africa's potential. And a message I would have to send to African youth is to believe in your ambitions, believe in your dreams, and above all, never forget that your identity never forget that your identity does not hold you back, but rather it is your biggest strength. Thank you.
Merci.
Thank
Croire
you.
en ses rêves, croire en son
Believe in your
identité.
dreams, believe
Monsieur
in
le Président,
identity.
Jean-Wilfried et Marois
Mr. President, Jean-Wilfried and Marwa have just demonstrated that a new African generation is building its own narrative, its own brand, its own influence. So here in this room we have builders, entrepreneurs, creators. What message do you send to this generation? There are artists in the room as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your welcome, not just here to Nairobi, but also to your alma mater, your university. And thank you to the university for their hospitality. I really wanted to continue to listen to these discussions because I'm becoming a veteran in this mission. I've been working on this for 9 years, and my intention is to change a number of things when it comes to the relationship between France, Europe, and Africa. And it was quite formidable to listen to all 4 of you because you spoke very wisely. And whilst I was listening to you, I realized that we should let you lead the way, in fact. More seriously, I think that the battle we have is multifold. So why do we need to change the content? Well, this type of summit usually begins with a meeting between African and European leaders, and the European leaders, or French leaders, would come and explain to African leaders. And perhaps they would involve civil society. They'd say, we've taken a look at your situation, this is what's good for you, and we'll help you. And I think that this is no longer what Africa needs or what Africa wishes to hear. The president said yesterday that we don't want this anymore. We don't need you to help us. And this is good because we don't necessarily have the resources to do so, if I'm to be 100% clear. and it creates many tensions. We talk about helping people, and then this may lead to problems, etc. Well, Africa is succeeding. It is the youngest continent in the world. It's the continent which has the highest growth in the world. All Africa needs is investment to be more sovereign. This was mentioned earlier on. And we want to be partners on an equal level because we have the same mission to carry out in Europe. And that is what is at stake here. And we're beginning this Africa Forward Summit by listening to you, the youth of the African continent, to tell you, these are our dreams, these are our ambitions, this is what we're doing. And we can say, well, we have investments to make. It's wise for you, it's good for us, and we can work together to do this. Our challenges are very similar. Our challenges are the challenges you've described, whether it pertains to technology, AI, payment systems, or whether it's about the creative and cultural industries. And narratives, as you said quite rightly. So we have a shared challenge.
Consumer and builders. And this is exactly the same. Because a lot of solutions are made in the US or made in China. And when you speak about artificial intelligence, okay, a lot of us today are consumers. So I think we have a common fight, a common battle together of investment, which is to build our strategic autonomy for Europe and Africa. And if we build it together, we will be much stronger. So we need infrastructure. And this challenge of building infrastructure is exactly the same in Europe. Computing capacities. Okay, if we want to make infrastructure, let's invest together. In order to do so, and this is a challenge, by the way, that President Ruto is facing here and fixing, this is the energy challenge. No chance to build any AI infrastructure and computing capacities without energy. So we have to build much more energy facilities, renewables, nuclear, in order to deploy electrification of our common use in Europe, electrification for households and companies in Africa, but in order to build additional capacities and computing capacities, first challenge. And to build foundational models and companies on that. Everything, when we speak about infrastructure, is about sovereignty. And this partnership between Amini, Bull and Foxconn, for me, is a perfect example of this sovereignty, this common sovereignty story. African, European, and Taiwanese company. All of us have to face this challenge of sovereignty and reducing our dependencies. So it's super smart. So let's rush on infrastructure, and it's true for AI, it's true for payment system, and I want to commend you for what you do with this Pan-African settlement system. I think it's super smart, and you're right to say that you are leading in terms of mobile payment, and we are very proud for Orange and some companies to be part of this game. The second key challenge we have to face together is about talents. In Europe, and especially in France, we do educate and train a lot of talents. Our key challenge is to provide jobs for them and to make sure that they stay and don't move. I have to say I was despaired a few years ago when I saw that so many talents of AI in Silicon Valley were in fact educated in France, data scientists or mathematicians. Now they are starting to come back because we have great leaders and we are building clearly the leadership in Europe of AI and quantum capacities. And it is exactly the same challenge in Africa. And you were right. You have to train more, and I'm super proud of what we are doing here with the investment of the French Agency for Development and the university to build on STEM and AI, new capacities, new partnerships with our best universities. And this is exactly what we want to do through the continent. How to educate and train more and more talents to make sure that they will be trained here in the best education system, with the best partnership, and they will stay and help the country to develop and help the continent to develop. And this is why We will expand these partnerships between our universities and the African universities. We will accelerate this trend of investment. And this is why I want to thank our companies to clearly accompany this work on Orange during this summit. We'll announce, thank you, Christelle, this 50 digital centers. I think this is extremely powerful, with 1 million young African people being trained through this Orange Digital Center by 2030. And a few years ago, we Digital Africa, whose objective is to connect digital ecosystems. And this is part of this training capacities for your talents, but as well how to make sure that the ecosystem will enlarge and talents will stay. Et le dernier défi pour être pleinement souverain, c'est exactement ce que vous avez dit et ce que vous avez parfaitement décrit l'un et l'autre.
You said quite rightly. You described this perfectly. You talked about narrative. And we know that it is the winner that writes history. And the work that we're currently doing, and we'll come back to this later on in the day when we talk about cultural restitution, but we're currently reinventing the balanced partnership with the African continent by returning cultural objects. But there's also a contemporary narrative to write. And this narrative can be written by others with a backward-looking view, or by others. It's important that this narrative is written by Africans. Otherwise, the narrative won't be the right narrative. And it's also a question of sovereignty, because this perception enables you to multiply your strengths. It's history that we're writing. This will give you a greater ability to forge ahead. It will attract investments. If you have the right narrative, then you will appeal to people who wish to take part. It's about soft power. So it's just as important as infrastructure and talent. You have to have the right narrative. And this narrative enables us to ensure that culture, technology, and the economy are taken as one. However, it's important for this narrative to be written by Africans. And if this is done, then it will have a multiplying effect. And that's why I'm extremely impressed by the example of Benin. It's a brilliant example because it is a success story which has gone via culture and the economy. And I'm very impressed by what the continent is currently doing. There is a positive Pan-Africanism that is at play. And often times, we have associated Pan-Africanism to something which was negative, to negative stereotypes. However, this Pan-Africanism of your generation is positive and is fair. It enables you to build your continent, to take up challenges, to attract investment, and to say that I don't want solutions to be imposed by other countries. I want to help my country develop, and I want to help my continent to develop, and I want to make these choices.
And our role, I will finish with this, is not to offer aid. It is just to say, wow, we also need to do the same for ourselves. I said, France has always been this. We are a nation that has always been seen as a great nation. I have said and repeated this oftentimes. France has always dreamed big. We have built this story for ourselves for many years, and this is what has made the two reasons for us in this summit to be here. First, we want that our companies and the government of France to invest by your side, because we know it will work, and that the African story is a big story, is a great story, and that when you look at Europe and Africa, there is an evidence, and that this fight for sovereignty, technological sovereignty, AIT sovereignty, quantum sovereignty is common. If you fail, we do not have any chance. If you fail, your youth will leave Africa and will no longer solve migration. We need you to succeed because it's good for France and Europe. There's a positive story to build. It is incredible for the 21st century that you'll build your story. We will do it also on our end, and we'll do it hand in hand. Secondly, have a common destiny. We have a common destiny. You said something that probably you have a story that wasn't so good. There are millions of young people in France who are from the diaspora as yourself. And for many years we told them, sorry, that you are from the diaspora or you come from this particular country and you'd like to be forgotten. No, you are 100% French and 100% from Algeria. You have your dual nationality and we need you because that is a boost for us in France to have young people like you who are Franco-Algerian, Franco-Central African, and who would like to develop the world and conquer further frontiers and who work with us. This is really important for us. So be proud of being member of diaspora, of being French and of being African. And that's why I'm here. Because in my country, and I've told it to my Kenyan counterparts who do not know it much, there are millions of young people who are totally French and totally African. And it's a great honor and luck for their countries. I will stop here, therefore, Madam Moderator, but
builders of this common future. And I'm extremely happy to see how proud and solution-driven you are when you speak about your own future. And this is why I'm here. I do believe in the future of Africa. I do believe in the future of your country, William. And I am leader of a country who wants to be part of that, who wants to invest here, who is very proud of our own past and future. But this partnership, this balanced, generous, lucid, and equal partnership is precisely how we will frame and build our common future. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to our moderator, Aisha. Thank you, President Macron, and Marwa, and Jean-Wilfred. Please give them a round of applause. And I love the emphasis, President Macron, on the fact that you can be both, that it doesn't have to be one or the other, and this emphasis on sovereignty as well. I'll also say that something that Jean-Wilfred said about the brand Africa is definitely conversations that I've been hearing happen, and I can't wait to see a time when Muranga tea from Kenya has the same brand recognition that champagne from France has, right? That fish from Lake Victoria has the same brand recognition that salmon from Norway has, right? And we're getting there. We will get there if we continue to have these conversations, but also get something tangible out of them. I know the fear of summits sometimes is that it's talk, and there's nothing concrete, but there will be concrete action points from this Africa Forward Summit, and I think that's an amazing thing. We're just about to get into a presentation on a white paper about Africa and innovation in democracy. But before we go there, I think music is something that brings people together, and if there is a song that I feel brings France and Kenya together, and the continent as a whole, is Premier Gawo. Anyone heard it? Mr. DJ, I think we just did a little taste of Premier Gawo. You can move on your seat if you feel a little bit. Yeah. Hey. Thank you, Mr. D. Okay. Oh, we're ready to dance. Okay. Thank you, Mr. DJ. Thank you. I just wanted you to get up a bit. I think I'm correct that Premier Gawo brings Africa and France together. Does it not? It really does. We are talking next about innovation in democracy. And Professor Achille Mbembe is a historian. He's a political scientist. He is someone who has done a lot of work researching what democracy for Africa looks like. Sometimes we make copy-paste systems. without thinking, how do I make this work for me? So he's presenting a white paper on what innovation in African democracy looks like. Please help me give a warm round of applause and a welcome to Professor Achille Mbembe.
I did prepare some formal remarks, but the atmosphere in this room, I think, invites for something a bit more spontaneous. Especially after President Ruto and my dear friend Emmanuel speech. I had the feeling that he could be a very good candidate for a presidential election in an African country. So, I knew, I have seen him in action a few times, and I'm very happy that I was able to witness the same energy, the same intelligence, and the same commitment to our continent and to the idea of a common world. He ended with that. I was also delighted to listen to President Ruto and to hear about the efforts he has been engaged in making of Kenya a place where no African feel like a stranger. All that we heard from President Ruto and Emmanuel, we heard it yesterday. The same joy, the same passion, the same energy was expressed yesterday during a pavilion. The Innovation Foundation for Democracy, the Paris Peace Forum, and the International Commission for Jurists, Kenyan section, we held another university, Strathmore University, not far from here indeed. And what we are bringing to you this time is in the form of a book. I won't be summarizing the book here. The book contains no less than 60 proposals, which are not proposals for governments, which are not proposals for business, which are proposals for all, beginning with civil society organizations themselves, in the full knowledge that these days governments, business, and civil society and communities have to work together. There's no other way. And that we have to basically invest, as we heard this morning, in our communities and societies' resources, in their strengths, being inclusive, if we are to address the challenges ahead of us. I'll end these very quick comments with one word which came to me as I was listening to the conversation we have had this morning. When it comes to telling the world what Africa is all about. I will say it in French because I really haven't found a proper translation in English. I hope that the translators will do their job. L'Afrique est une réserve de puissance et une puissance en réserve. I believe that that's what I heard this morning, and I would like to leave it at that. So this is the book. Voila. It's a lot of reading for the two presidents, but since they read so well, I'm sure that they go through it. Thank you very much, and excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bravo.
Thank you so much, Professor Achille. Thank you. Please give him a round of applause. And please give President Ruto and President Macron a warm round of applause for co-hosting this summit. This is just the beginning. This is day one. I cannot wait to see what the next 2 days bring. Now we'll take a quick photo session, but I'll hand over to Mike to run us through the photo session. There'll also be a video playing just to give you a historic look at the relationship between France and Kenya. It's going from Ouagadougou to Nairobi. We'll play that in just a minute, but let me hand over to Mike. We'll have a quick session with the panelists, a photo session, just so we can get everyone in the picture, and then we'll hand over to the video from Ouagadougou to Nairobi. Mike?
All right, thank you. A clap for Mariam, please, for moderating us very well. Thank you. Your Excellencies, I'll just request that we step forward. I'll request that the panelists may also join the presidents for the photo session. Just initially the first panelist, please. Just the ones who spoke. Yes. The two sets that spoke. Mariam, you can also join in the photo, please. Try not to dance so that we can get the picture. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, that brings us to the end of this session. And we'll then request that we all be upstanding as we then allow the two heads of state to exit and go to the cultural experience. Feel free to give them a warm, warm clap, even for their time and for joining us this morning. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
Ce matin et coco, on frappe à ma porte. À ma grande surprise, c'est la go en touche voix. Assemblage, j'ai dit, oh, y a longtemps, c'est plus revu. Elle veut me mentir, elle dit, chérie, j'avais voyagé.
Let's all stay in place. As the presidents leave, let's all stay in place, please.
J'ai dit chérie Coco, qu'est-ce que tu veux manger? Ça même esquito, elle me dit poulet braisé. Quand on te dit premier gaou n'est pas gaou, c'est deuxième gaou qui est nyatao. J'ai dit chérie Coco, c'est poulet tu veux manger? Poulet est trop petit.
All right, just a kind request that we all stay in place as the presidents leave. And we'll shortly be seeing a video on France-Kenya relationships from Ouagadougou to Nairobi. Please also...
Indeed, welcome to Taifa Hall. This is where we've seen President Dr. William Ruto and the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, just speaking to the youth. This was a high level...